Hey, I'm Rachel Abbott, and welcome back to the Standard's Tech and Science Daily podcast. A fast-moving fire in the Hollywood Hills, which erupted on Wednesday night, has produced more evacuation orders for Los Angeles residents as fire crews battled 3 other major blazes that have killed at least 5 people and leaving homes destroyed. Fire chiefs believe the blaze, which destroyed more than 20 square miles in just 2 days, started in a back garden.
What we do know is that the overall weather picture is fanning the flames, quite literally. We've got these really strong winds that come blowing down out of the mountains. They're very dry, they're quite warm, and when you have a drought and lots of fuel that can ignite really quickly, combined with the really strong winds that are or have been blowing yesterday and today particularly, then you have a recipe for really big fires and fires that spread really rapidly, which is exactly what we've seen.
That's climate scientist Dr Ella Gilbert of the British Antarctic Survey, who specialises in mountain winds.
So the Santa Ana winds are winds that are basically caused when you have high pressure over the northeast, and it means that the air blows from the interior of California towards the ocean, which is a bit different to what you would normally expect at this time of year. That air gets blown through the mountains and it gets dried out and warmed, and it also gets kind of squeezed through the mountains sometimes, which is like if you see rapids in a river, and that means that the wind is really fast. So you have really fast, really dry winds that fan the flames and add loads of kind of movement to the fire, and means that they can spread and burn a much larger area.
More than 130,000 people were ordered to evacuate as dry, hurricane-force winds hindered firefighting operations and spread the fires, which have devastated thousands of acres since Tuesday. Dr. Gilbert says LA and the surrounding area is currently abnormally dry, essentially under drought conditions, with a relatively north-south divide, and that the risk of wildfires is increasing as a result of climate heating, partly with its effect on the amount of moisture in the air and in the soil, and also partly with the heating overall and the changes that happen to weather patterns.
I think since the 1970s, a recent bit of research showed that there was a 172% increase in the amount of area in California that was burned by wildfires as a result of climate change.
Dr. Gilbert's work studies very similar sort of winds being seen in California and explained why these winds are interesting from a science perspective.
These winds are actually really interesting from a kind of a scientific perspective, apart from being a really important phenomenon in this case. I actually study a very similar sort of winds in the Antarctic. It's not a unique phenomenon to Southern California. It's basically the kind of phenomenon we see anywhere that we have mountains. In Antarctica, it drives melting over ice shelves often, and in Southern California, it might fan the flames of wildfires. But these specific weather winds can exacerbate or add to existing patterns and cause extreme events like these wildfires, or in some cases, the collapse of ice shelves in Antarctica.
On the Pacific coast, west of Los Angeles, a major fire razed entire blocks, reducing grocery stores and banks to ashes in Pacific Palisades, a popular neighborhood with celebrities. Clips of the wildfire used in this story are courtesy of AP, PA and Brian McAleer. To hear the full interview, search for the Standard podcast with Mark Blunden from 4 p.m. Next, the world is reacting to Meta boss Mark Zuckerberg's plans to end the social media platform's fact-checking program. Earlier in the week, in a blog post, Zuckerberg said the move to end the program was in order to get back to its roots around free expression, and that third-party fact-checkers were too politically biased. Following the departure of former UK Deputy PM Sir Nick Clegg, is this another move in line with the upcoming Trump presidency? Social media expert Matt Navarra told the PA news agency that Meta's decision was a smart move by Zuckerberg in the face of the current political environment in the US and the return to the White House of Donald Trump, but said there were obvious downsides around misleading or harmful content spreading more easily. Helle Thorning-Schmidt, the co-chair of the independent body, Meta's oversight board, that reviews Facebook and Instagram content, told the BBC that she is very concerned about how parent company Meta's decision to ditch fact-checkers will affect minority groups. The Labour MP and chair of the Science and Technology Committee for the House of Commons, Chi Onowura, has said Zuckerberg's decision was concerning and quite frightening. Next, a Dutch medical study has revealed how long a person can expect to live after being diagnosed with dementia. Research by Erasmus MC University Medical Centre suggests survival rates for the condition range between an average of 2 to 9 years and depend on age. Scientists examined over 300 studies between 1984 and 2024, based on nearly 6 million people, which reported on survival or nursing home admission for people with dementia. The Erasmus study found men diagnosed aged 65 could expect to survive for 5.7 years, while those diagnosed when they were 85 could expect 2.2 years. Women diagnosed at 65 who tend to have dementia discovered later in life could expect to live up to 8.9 years, while those at 85 years could expect 4.5 years. Welcome back. E-cigarettes are 4 times more profitable for convenience stores than tobacco, according to researchers at the University of Edinburgh. Their analysis from September 2022 shows these stores make an average profit of 37.1% for vapes, compared with 8.5% for tobacco products. Meanwhile, the average weekly number of transactions per store, which included vapes, rose sharply from 10 in 2019 to 93 in 2022, which equates to a 9-fold increase in 3 years. The study also shows that footfall from tobacco sales has decreased by nearly 40% in small retail outlets, compared to less than a decade ago, and that tobacco sales were becoming increasingly unimportant for businesses. Next, a specialist robot-guided smart biopsy technique has been tested on UK patients for the first time, which is hoped one day could see the end of invasive procedures for those with suspected cancer. Using MRI scans prior to the robot-guided biopsy allowed researchers to identify different parts of the tumour and sample each area in a planned way, at once, to better understand their biology. Dr Edward Johnston, consultant interventional radiologist at London's Royal Marsden NHS Foundation Trust and the Institute of Cancer Research, said better understanding different areas of a tumour is important for patients as they can behave in different ways and respond differently to treatment, adding ultimately it leads to more personalised cancer treatment. And finally, we've been highlighting a few of our top picks from CES 2025 this week, including the weirder inventions coming to the world, such as Marumi, the furry wearable robot. Here's another. How about an air purifier designed to avoid disturbing a beloved pet cat? LG's AeroCat Tower automatically reduces its airflow to allow a cat sitting on it to be left in peace, then increases airflow again when the cat hops off to continue cleaning. The tech also tracks animals' overall health with a built-in scale. There's no price or release date yet. You're up to date. Come back at 4 p.m. for the Standard podcast. Tech and Science Daily returns tomorrow. For all the latest news, head to standard.co.uk.